Yo, what is up guys, Delboy here, aka Blue Collar Sports TV. Hopefully you guys are doing well. If you're new here, smash that like, hit subscribe, all of that good stuff. So Conor Benn defeats Pete Dobson by a 12-round unanimous decision in Las Vegas. Of course, Conor Benn is on his controversial comeback trail. In his first fight, he fought an unknown Mexican, went 10 rounds, didn't get the stoppage. In this fight, he fights an unknown American, goes 12 rounds, and doesn't get the stoppage. And for my money, Conor Benn didn't look all that great. Peter Dobson, Pistol Pete Dobson as he calls himself, not a great fighter. Tough guy, but not a great fighter. Very slow, very cumbersome, poor punch technique, readable, very basic, very rudimentary in his approach. Reality is, I don't think there's any top welterweight, scratch that, let alone top welterweights, I don't think there's any elite welterweight prospects that would struggle to stop Pete Dobson. Tough guy, I'm not undermining his toughness, but there's nothing else there when it comes to Pete Dobson. In fact, Pete Dobson, it was exposed that he actually had a fight in Russia quite recently, and he was fighting a guy who was on his debut, never fought before, and the Russian guy completely schooled him. For some reason, that's not on Pete Dobson's record, but it happened, the footage is out there. So that goes to show the level of Pete Dobson and his skills. And Conor Benn made a bit of a meal of it, in my opinion. Didn't look all that great. He won the fight clearly, don't get it twisted. But you should be doing better against this level of competition, as far as I'm concerned. First 3 to 4 rounds, it looked like Dobson was there to be knocked out. So slow, so cumbersome. Conor Benn had the speed advantage, the power advantage, the advantage in accuracy. Pete Dobson was half-assing his jab, very slow jab. Then he was bringing that jab back to his waist, which allowed Conor Benn to time him with the overhand right, which he was landing early on. Even when Pete Dobson wasn't being offensive, when he wasn't throwing punches, his lead hand was still far too low, which was his left hand. And again, it allowed Conor Benn to land his jab at will, to throw the 1-2, etc. And he was catching Pete Dobson early on here, cashing him with big shots. But to Pete Dobson's credit, I guess, he took the shots well, he soaked it up. Wasn't doing much in return, it has to be said, but he was soaking it up. After the 3rd or 4th round, Pete Dobson actually had a couple of decent rounds. I think it was rounds 5 and 6. He actually started to try to exchange with Conor Benn, try to push Conor Benn back a little bit, tried to get on his chest, tried to land body shots, and it was very rudimentary work, like I was saying. Very rudimentary, swinging wide hooks to the body, clubbing shots to the head. Nothing special, nothing spectacular, but he was landing on Conor Benn, and he was making it a fight. And there was no method behind the madness either. It wasn't like Dobson was jabbing his way in or displaying unbelievable foot speed combined with head movement, like Mike Tyson. Nothing like that. He was just marching forwards in straight lines, just walking right onto Conor Benn, walking right in his wheelhouse, and was able to land shots. That's not a good sign going forwards for Conor Benn, in my opinion. Now, Conor Benn was never really in trouble, because Pete Dobson can't really punch, but he was getting tagged up. He was getting tagged up. As the fight played out, I felt Conor started to regain control. He started to get his jab going again, throwing the 1-2 left hook, etc., putting his shots together quickly. But still, he was throwing himself off balance. You know, he was missing wildly at times. Looked like he was too overeager to impress, I would say. And yeah, I felt that negatively affected his performance. When he said going into this fight he wants to knock out Dobson in the first round, I think he fully believed it. He fought like that. And when Dobson stuck around, Conor Benn, you know, he then started to try too hard, kind of thing, forcing his work. And as a result, when you force your work, your opponents expect the shot. Conor Benn was throwing the same combinations over and over, and Peter Dobson, he became accustomed to the power. In my opinion, not an impressive performance by Conor Benn. And how Pete Dobson was able to walk up close to him and land the shots he did was a little concerning. When you put shots together against Conor Benn, I believe you will have success. I don't think Conor Benn is great when it comes to punching with his opponent in the exchanges. I've seen enough from Conor Benn now to see that, as of right now, he is a front foot fighter, has to be on his terms, but when you fight fire with fire or when you throw shots at him, to me he looks very vulnerable. But he's not fought for guys to expose it. Again, Pete Dobson has no hand speed, slow as molasses, can't punch, very basic, no power. And he was able to tag up Conor Benn. When Conor Benn steps up, and when I say step up, I don't mean against Terence Crawford. I don't mean against Jaron Ennis. Even a guy like Avanesian could give Conor Benn a lot of trouble even now, even though Avanesian is past his best. Conor Benn has a lot to work on. In fact, I think he looks worse now than he did pre-drug ban. Maybe that says a lot, you tell me. But yeah, not a great performance by Conor, in my opinion. Clearly won the fight, don't get me wrong, but the level of opponent wasn't great. Tough guy, sure, in terms of ability, in terms of quality, there wasn't much there, to tell you the truth. There wasn't much there. But yeah, anyway, share your thoughts below. It's been your guy Delboy. Share your thoughts below on this fight. Peace.